Yo. Right. Well, good morning. Nice to see you, Bridget. Can I just throw over to you to introduce the item? Is that okay with you? So if anybody's watching online, this is our workshop in respect of the Waikato Biodiversity Accord. Welcome.
So good morning. Good morning, my name's Bridget. I'm the Biodiversity Planner here at Waipa, and this is Judy Van Rossum from Waikato Regional Council. We're here today to speak to you about the Waikato Biodiversity Accord. Apologies for the delay in you receiving the memo and draft accord, but I believe it is in your diligent now. Oh, yeah. Too many slides ahead. So the purpose of today's workshop is to provide you with an overview of the Accord and to seek feedback on Waipa District Council becoming a signatory to the Accord. So over to Judy.
Yeah, kia ora koutou, ko Judy Van Rossum tōku ingoa. I am Specialist Policy Advisor in the Policy Implementation Team at Waikato Regional Council. Been a long time employee there, moved through sort of the water quality area and into the community and education area, and then into the biodiversity space, and now in the policy team. So moving along, so in terms of the purpose, so as we're all aware, we have many people who are participating in a variety of biodiversity projects in the region to help with restoring our ecosystems. So we have landowners and marae groups and other community groups voluntarily investing their time and effort and money fencing stock from streams, planting riverbanks, protecting forest remnants, dunes and wetlands, and controlling pests. So while a lot of great work is currently underway to help restore the Waikato region's biodiversity, we could achieve more if our efforts were better coordinated. So we need to align our biodiversity programs so that they can be more efficient and effective, and so that we can make the best use of the limited resources that we have. So with that, alongside our current biodiversity and biosecurity work, the Regional Council's been progressing a Waikato Biodiversity Accord. So this accord is a high-level non-statutory agreement for agencies and key iwi partners to work together and to collaborate and prepare a regional biodiversity strategy. So just move to the next slide. So just to provide a bit of context, so with the National Policy Statement for Indigenous Biodiversity taking effect last year, one of the directives is for regional councils to develop a regional biodiversity strategy. And these strategies are essentially like a community and stakeholder-driven plan for restoring biodiversity across the landscape, and each region has to do one of these strategies. The strategy itself will set out the details of how to promote that landscape scale biodiversity restoration with a shared vision and a set of agreed actions and methods and milestones. So without preempting what will be in the strategy, it will likely include things such as defining the roles and responsibilities of all the stakeholders that have a part to play in biodiversity restoration, recognising the connections from the maunga to the moana, so that sort of mountains to sea approach, identifying priority ecosystems and habitats where collective efforts would have the greatest gain, opportunities to engage urban communities, and partnering on incentives for biodiversity restoration, which is quite an important one. So the Waikato Biodiversity Accord is really the first step in the strategy process, and we see it as an important platform for how we work together better, have more sort of joined up thinking whilst respecting each other's roles and responsibilities, and how we can collectively improve the state of our region's ever-dwindling biodiversity resource. So this is an initiative that the Regional Council's captured in our strategic direction to address biodiversity loss in the region and to acknowledge that a collective approach is needed to lift our game in biodiversity management. Next slide. So to date, we have prepared a draft accord document, which we're currently taking around iwi co-governance meetings to gather feedback and to build in more of a Te Ao Māori worldview. And we're also working with the territorial authorities, so there's 11 in our region, to take it to their governance, and that's what this meeting is about today. So it is quite challenging building an accord with so many different parties whilst trying to keep it simple and meaningful. The draft that you have, so I understand you do have a draft accord that you can refer to. This is being further refined with the feedback that we've been receiving. So, the one you have is an earlier draft, but we've adjusted some of the wording now to align it more with what's in the National Policy Statement for Biodiversity and also in our Regional Policy Statement. And our Tairanga Whenua unit has also provided a whakatauki for each of the principles as well. We're also putting together a companion document that explains the context and rationale for the accord. So once we've completed all of the engagement meetings during May and June, we'll then circulate a final draft so that we can check on the wording and appropriateness of that. So some of the key principles in the accord that were discussed and incorporated into the document include things like working together can achieve better biodiversity outcomes than working individually, coordinating efforts across jurisdictional, so that might be district boundaries, for greater impact on biodiversity improvements, incorporating those basic tenets of trust and respect and transparency and honesty in working together, which is something that came through quite strongly from our iwi JMA partners, recognising tangata whenua as customary guardians at place, and ensuring that inclusiveness, which means having a flexible document that organisations can sign up to at any time. So just the process, briefly, the process that we've taken to get to this stage. So we have mainly focused on targeted engagement. We held 2 workshops, one in December and one in February, with staff from the proposed signatory organisations to gather and draft the content of the accord and consider how we want to work together. And that's how we came up with those principles. So the kaupapa is now in that draft document. So it's in the form of a simple high-level agreement with a purpose statement, a set of principles and objectives, and a statement of commitment. As part of the process, we also looked at examples of other accords. So we looked at a couple of accords from other regions, so Taranaki and Hawke's Bay. These accords were signed a few years ago, but essentially these are agreements to commit to their new biodiversity strategies. And of course, the Waipa Peat Lakes and Wetlands Accord, which is over 20 years old now, but that still endures because the parties are still meeting regularly and dealing with the management of those significant ecosystems. So the proposed partners for this accord are the Regional Council, the Department of Conservation, the Ministry for Primary Industries, QE2 National Trust, 11 territorial authorities and the key JMA partners, who all have statutory responsibilities and or cultural imperatives for the management of Indigenous biodiversity. So we're seeking a commitment from these entities as signatories to the accord to work together and align biodiversity activities and to develop a biodiversity strategy. And then we see the accord enduring beyond the strategy. So it will be the basis for facilitating that regular communication between the signatory parties to monitor and demonstrate progress with the strategy. And that's similar to the way in which the Waipa Peat Lakes and Wetlands Accord operates. So I'll hand over to Bridget.
So this diagram provides a bit of context for how this accord and a future strategy would fit into a planning framework. Objectives of the future strategy would feed into regional policy and regional plan, which would in turn feed into our district plan. Objectives of the regional strategy would also feed into long-term plans and other planning documents such as operational plans and reserve management plans. As Judy mentioned previously, the accord would sit alongside all of these documents as a consistent place of communication relating to regional biodiversity and as a connection to the partner organisations. So what would becoming a signatory involve? Becoming a signatory is a voluntary and non-statutory agreement to work together. The resourcing for the accord currently involves a commitment for staff time. And I also thought it was important to highlight that there is an objective within the accord that recognises the capacity and resourcing constraints of accord partners, which have been incorporated following discussions with other territorial authorities. This shows our proposed timeline for Waipa District Council's involvement with the accord development. We have opened a discussion with us with Ngā iwi tōpua Waipa surrounding their potential involvement in the Accord process and future strategy process. The Regional Council are constantly reviewing their draft Accord document as feedback continues to be fed in from other partner organisations. I'll be coming to the Sustainability and Climate Change Committee to update the committee on these changes and hope to have a relatively substantial working draft at that stage before coming to hopefully get final sign-off from SPMP around June ahead of sign-off from Regional Council at the end of June. Strategy development is then set to begin in late 2024. That's all. Questions?
Marie.
Tēnā korua, thank you. And I know like with people like me and Claire, we love this stuff. So I've just gonna go back on some of your, if we can go back a couple of things to your list of regional stakeholders. You're mentioning that you're engaging with Ngā iwi tōpū, but they're not on that original list.
So this list here is from the proposed Accord signatories. So we're choosing Waipa District Council to engage with Ngā iwi tōpū Waipa, but do you want to talk a little bit about how these proposed Accord signatories were selected?
So thank you. So the proposed signatories to start with is this group of organisations, and it's mainly because these are the ones that have the statutory responsibility for biodiversity management. So the Accord is intended to be a living document that any organisation can sign up to at any time. So Ngā iwi would be one of those that could sign up following the initial group, if you like, if they choose to. So I mean, we're quite flexible on that. If there's a strong feeling that you would like to be a full signatory, sorry, no, would like to be a full signatory.
Yeah, we're just going through our partnership framework at the moment. So that's why I just thought I'd better bring it up that they weren't in that first list, but now I get the statutory commitments to that, but see that they're the ones doing the engaging. So I'm just, I was hoping that there wasn't a disconnect between the three bigger entities and then the one that comes down and does the operational stuff here. So kia ora koutou, korua.
Yeah, great to see you guys here, and I'm pretty excited to see how you've got this to this point, and I don't have a problem with the draft that you've got at the moment, and I'm really keen to see the work progressed. I guess I'm wondering about what goals are going to be set for enhancing biodiversity. I think a lot of the work that's being done at the moment is about holding the line, and managing what we've got left, which is fine. But some of the national policy statement on Indigenous biodiversity is also recognising we need to up our game and make sure we don't have further extinctions and things like that. So I guess that's the next stage, isn't it? Where you're sort of getting more specific about what this, I presume, particular targets or projects. So keen to see that work as well.
Thank you. So it is really about getting the right people in the right room to address some of those elephants in the room as well. And significant natural areas, for instance, is an elephant in the room for some territorial authorities, and also for a lot of the iwi partners as well. And that is something that we hope we can address through the Accord by really teasing those issues out constructively with the territorial authority, the regional council, the iwi authority, or hapu as well, because they're the ones that own look after the land. So that's really how we see this Accord working. It's a basis for working together and getting the right people in the room depending on the issue.
Marie.
Would have loved this when the golden clams came. You just say,
So there's no reason why something like that issue couldn't sit under the Accord, if you like. So, we have this agreement to work together. Let's now sort it out.
Any other comments? I guess the thing that kind of springs to my mind, and it's great, love your work, is if you look at land holdings in the Greater Waikato region, they're overwhelmingly held in farming hands, right? And if we really want to make any meaningful impact here, surely that is a sector of our community that needs to be in this conversation or understand their role to play in here. Yeah, just putting that out there, put that on a leaf and let that float down the river. So any other comments, conversation, questions for these two? No? Excellent. Short and sweet. Look at that.
Wow. Thank you.
Love your work.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. So we're, okay, we look forward to seeing you again then.
Yes, it's a bit of an iterative process doing the engagement while we're trying to incorporate the feedback. Put it out again for the comments. So
Yeah,
we'll be back.
great. In the great words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, you'll be back. Fantastic. Thanks very much.